Okay, so starting with the checkpoint, the first question says, what are the solutions to the equation x squared equals 49 over 100? Select all that apply. So we're trying to find the solution. So where does this graph cross the x-axis at? So the first method that they taught you is by taking the square root. So what we need to do, since x is being squared, we need to take the square root in order to solve for x. But whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. So we also have to take the square root of 49 over 100. And when you take the square root, remember that you get a positive and a negative. So the square root of 49 is 7. The square root of 100 is 10. So x would equal positive 7 over 10. And then it would also equal negative 7 over 10. Are you guys able to see okay on the whiteboard? Okay, good, thank you. Any questions on this problem? All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next one says, what are the solutions, if any, to the equation x squared minus 25 equals negative 7? I'm going to erase this one. And we have x squared minus 25 equals negative 7. So again, we're going to solve by taking the square root, but before we do that, we need to isolate the x squared. So can anyone tell me what I need to do with the negative 25? How can I get rid of it? You can send it to me in the chat, or you can unmute and tell me. Yes, perfect. We need to add 25 to both sides. Several people sent that in the chat. Excellent. Then those cancel out, and then that's perfect. Now I have my x squared isolated, and then I have to do just negative 7 plus 25, which is 18. And then now I can take the square root of both sides. So the square root of x squared is x. And then remember, when we take the square root, we get plus or minus the square root of 18. But we need to simplify this square root. For those of you joining us, we are working on the checkpoint that is due tomorrow on September 9th. So if you want to pull that up, then you can follow along with us. Okay, so to simplify the square root of 18, we can just expand. So that's 9 times 2 is the same thing as 18. And we know the square root of 9 is 3. And then we can't take the square root of 2. So then our answer is going to be x equals positive 3 times the square root of 2 and negative 3 times the square root of 2. So x equals plus or minus 3 radical 2. Any questions on the second problem? How we got our answer? All right. Oh yes, we do have a question. Go ahead, Calliope. Oh, okay. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at the next question. So again, we're going to be taking the square root to solve. So we have x minus 13 squared equals 400. Okay, so can someone tell me, what do I need to do first to solve this? Yeah, Calliope, the lesson today is just quadratic formula. So we're going to get to that, and then you can go back still and go over it. Oh, turn in the workbook after. It'll be really easy because I'm going to go over quadratic formula, hopefully, if we have enough time. Yes, Alex, thank you. We need to take the square root of both sides. Perfect. So the square root of x minus 13 squared is just x minus 13. And then the square root of 400 is 20. And remember, when we take the square root, it's positive or negative 20. That's how we get our two answers. So then we have x minus 13. We have to set up our two equations. X minus 13 equals positive 20. And then x minus 13 equals negative 20. Okay, so go ahead and solve those and then tell me what you guys get in the chat. Send me the values for x that you get when you solve those two equations. Okay, very good. We're doing well. So if we add 13 to both sides, we see that x equals positive 33. We add 13 again, we see that x also equals negative 7. Excellent job. So we would pick the x equals negative 7 and x equals 33. Any questions on this problem? All right, moving on. We have x minus 32 squared equals 56. Is there anyone that wants to walk me through step by step what to do? No one? I know. I don't like talking on Zooms either. When I'm in like teacher meetings, I get super shy too. Okay, good. You can send it, keep it coming in the chat then. Okay, so we'll take the square root of both sides. And then we get x minus 32 equals, remember when we take the square root, we get a plus and a minus, the square root of 56. So we need to go ahead and we could do it either way. We could get rid of the 32 first, or we could simplify the square root. So let's just get x isolated first. So we would add 32. And so x equals 32 plus or minus the square root of 56. But we'll notice we don't have that option in the answer choices. So let's go ahead and simplify the 56. So we get what? 7 times 4 times 2, 7 times 8. But I can take out the square root of 4, which is 2, and then we're left with the square root of 14. So our answer would be x equals 32 plus or minus 2 radical 14. Very good, Lila. All right, any questions on how to solve by taking the root? Yay. All right. Let's move along then. Okay, so we have a word problem. Adrian solved the equation x squared plus 9 equals 16 using the following steps. Review his work carefully and then follow the instructions. So let's go through step by step his work. So we have x squared plus 9 equals 16. And then after this step, he got to x plus 3 equals plus or minus 4. So what would, let's just, yes, exactly, it's wrong. So what should we do first? Yep. What's the first thing you do? Yep, isolate the variable. So we would subtract 9 from both sides, right? Giving us x squared equals 16 minus 9, which is 7. Right, where he jumped straight into taking the square root, and he just took the square root of everything. He took the square root of everything over here, x squared plus 9 and the square root of 16. But first he needs to subtract the 9, and then he would end up with x squared minus 7. So let's see. It looks like in line 2, he should have subtracted 9 from both sides of the equation because it is not part of the expression that is squared. All right, any questions on this problem? You guys are really good at these, good. Okay, now we're gonna get into completing the square. Okay, so we have x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0. Okay, so when we complete the square, first we need to move the 12, our C term, to the other side. So then we have x squared minus 4x, leave some space for whatever we're gonna put there, equals 12, and then we need some space again. And does anyone remember how we get our new C term? Calliope, go ahead. I just saw you unmute, but we can't hear you. Bummer.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, so I had headphones on, so for some reason I cannot hear you now. But, so you have to divide the center term by 2 and then square it to get the last term.
Yep, so if we divide -4 by 2, we get -2, and we square that and we get +4. So then whatever you add to this side of the equation, you also have to add to this side. So we would add 4 to both sides. Okay, any questions how to do that on what we just did? How we got x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 12 plus 4? Okay, so then we just have to factor. So we now know that it is, your factor is whatever you got here. So since we divided -4 by 2, it's gonna be x minus 2 squared equals 12 plus 4, which is 16. Now we just take the square root of both sides. We get x minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 16, which is 4.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
When you divided 4x by 2, I don't know how you got 4.
So you divide your b term, so the x term, the middle term with just x, you divide it by 2 and then you square it to get this number. So we did -4 divided by 2, which was -2, and then we squared that. So -2 squared is +4.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so then now we set up our two equations. So we have x minus 2 equals +4 and x minus 2 equals -4. We solve for x by adding 2 to both sides. And so x equals 6, add 2 to both sides, and x equals -2. Yep, very good. Okay. We're running out of time. It's already 12:53 and I have another live session at 1. So we'll try to do one more completing the square, and then I'll try to do a quadratic formula one with you too, really quick. So we have x squared plus 8x minus 30 equals 0. Okay, can you guys tell me, what do I need to do first? Yes, add 30 to both sides. Thank you. Then we have x squared plus 8x, and then we're gonna put something there equals 30 and something there. Okay, then we need to find what we're gonna put here to complete this. Yep, we need to make it a perfect square trinomial. Perfect. So to do that, we need to divide our 8 by 2, which is 4. I'll show the steps, and then square that. Yep. So we're going to add 16 to both sides to get our perfect square. Excellent. So then, Calliope, go ahead. You don't have to raise your hand. You can just talk anytime.
I think I forgot to unraise my, I think I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you don't have a question or a response. Okay, so then now we know that this is going to be x plus 4 squared equals 30 plus 16, which is 46. We have to take the square root of both sides. Yeah, x plus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 46. And so we need to isolate 4. So we subtract 4 from both sides. And x equals -4 plus or minus the square root of 46. Okay, any questions on completing the square? Okay, do you guys want to just keep going in order, or do you want me to skip so that we can do a quadratic formula problem together? Okay, yeah, I agree. Oh. If we go in order, then we won't get to, I won't be able to go over quadratic formula. I know, now it's a hard one. Let's do a quadratic formula. You guys, it seems like you guys understand completing the square pretty well. So actually, we only skipped 1. Okay, So use the quadratic formula to solve the equation. Okay, so I'm going to turn my whiteboard this way because quadratic formula has some steps. I think these people coming are probably for my geometry session. That starts in 3 minutes. Okay, so quadratic formula says x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Those of you joining, if you're here for geometry, we'll get started here in just a few minutes. I'm finishing up algebra. Okay, so if we have 5x squared minus 9x minus 10 equals 0. So the first thing you need to do is identify a, b, and c, because all we're going to do is substitute those values of a, b, and c into this formula. So a is this term right here in front of x squared, the squared term. So a is 5, b is in front of the x, which is negative 9, and c is just the number itself, which is negative 10. And then all you have to do once you identify A, B, and C is just plug in to your formula. So we have negative B, and use parentheses anytime you plug in. So negative B, because this is negative 9. That's a very common mistake right there. It's forgetting to use parentheses. Plus or minus the square root of B squared. B is negative 9 squared minus 4 times A, which is 5, times C, which is negative 10. I'll pause there. Any questions so far? Okay, all over 2A, which A is 5. So divided by 2 times 5. And now we just have to simplify. So we're just going to go step by step. So negative 9 is positive 9, plus or minus the square root of negative 9 squared, negative 9 times negative 9, which is 81. And then we have to do negative 4 times 5 is negative 20 times negative 10, which is positive 200, divided by 2 times 5, which is 10. Any questions how I simplified and got that step? Okay, and then we're going to simplify until we can't simplify anymore. So we can do 81 and 200, and we get 281 divided by 10. And it doesn't look like we can simplify anymore. So that's our answer. 9 plus 200, the square root of 281 divided by 10. And then 9 minus the square root of 281 divided by 10. Those are our 2 answers that we get using quadratic formula. Okay, Algebra 2 students, any questions on the checkpoint questions we were able to get? Sorry that we ran out of time. I could tell Calliope, you love math, huh? These are fun. I agree. Okay, thank you, Algebra 2 students, for coming. It was fun. It was fun doing some hard solving. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next week. If you have any questions on any of the other checkpoint questions, feel free to just email me, and I can send you a quick video doing it, or just write it and send you the steps. All right, thank you guys.